Hi guys, we're live for our Educators Can, our power chat, and I have with me that way Nikki Leonti from Start Your Own Family Daycare, and we have 4 really great questions for you tonight that we're going to chat over. As you come on, say hi, but if you have more questions, add them as well because we love questions. How are you, Nikki?
I'm great. As you can see, I've got a jacket on. Living on the Sunshine Coast, we don't get cold, but it's cold today. I think it's like 17 degrees and yeah, it really turned very quickly. So
I think it's the first time I've seen you with a jacket on. Normally you have like the little strappy shirts on, and I'm so jealous.
Well, this is Andy's because I don't know where my winter stuff is because we've moved house at Christmas and I have no idea where my winter stuff is. So I'm going to have to look for it tomorrow.
Yeah. You have to dig it out.
So
that's so funny.
Right. Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Oh dear.
So yes, it's nice and cozy.
That's super. All right, let's start in with the first question. And the first one is, do you have to be registered with a scheme to run family daycare? And I love this. It's a great question. And my understanding is here.
Sorry, I'm just saying hello to everyone as you keep talking.
Oh, hi, Sue. Oh, and we have Christina. Hi, Christina. I didn't see. So this is a great question. And my understanding is that if you actually want to run a family daycare, then yes, you need to be registered with a scheme. Is that your understanding, Nikki?
I know that you can have standalone care and which is different. And I guess one of the downsides from not being registered with a scheme is that your parents can't claim as much of the childcare benefit. So it's kind of capped at a much lower rate. So that can, obviously cause some issues in regards to affordability. And I believe you still need to stay within the same ratios in terms of care. And you just need to be careful in some states just kind of running a childcare at home. You can't call yourself family daycare. But if you're to run childcare at home without a scheme, then you can't get insurance generally, and which is a biggie. You also don't have any support if things go wrong. You do need to do all your own paperwork, policies, and all those things to have in place. And I guess there are just more the legal consequences if anything was to go wrong. That is my understanding by not being registered with a scheme. And I know that was, about 2 years ago when all the schemes lost their most of the schemes lost their funding and fees went up and everyone's like, I don't want to be registered anymore. I know there was a lot of temptation to move and go away from the schemes and just go out on your own. But, even paying $1 up to, maybe $2 per hour per child, the legal support that you have as a registered scheme, the insurance certainly outweigh, we're dealing with children and parents and, there could be all sorts of things that could go wrong through no fault of your own. Even if you're the most amazing educator, even if you're the most spot on with everything by the book, things can happen. Parents can make stuff up. And if you don't have anyone to support you, you're going to find that really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Christina says there are also legal repercussions involved if you do not go under a scheme. Basically, you need Yeah, your insurance, which as far as I'm aware, you cannot get insurance to cover you. Absolutely.
No,
So
and
really,
you have to create all the policies and procedures yourself because you can do standalone, but you're having to build all of that up from scratch. Whereas schemes, when you register with a scheme, you kind of take on all of theirs and they take on the responsibility of you as an educator. So
absolutely.
I guess it's a lot safer. Really look into it. Really look into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the research on its own to stay up to date would, you know, is worth that payment, I think.
Definitely, because you can just call up it, and you know, by the time everything needs to be implemented, your scheme's usually sending you all of the stuff that you need, and you can just keep doing your thing. You don't have to be stressing about, oh my goodness, is this correct? Is this correct? And you don't have anyone to ask because the department's quite tricky to get on, get onto.
Yeah. Yeah, love that. That's a great one. Christina says there are more educators becoming jaded by the dodgy schemes there are out there, and so the like-minded ones are now trying to start their own schemes. Some are starting to realize exactly how much is involved in that process. Absolutely, there is to run a scheme that has to be dedication. Absolutely. All right, our next question. Did it come up?
I didn't see it.
Oh. Is it up?
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
It's up. Okay, so our next question is, do all educators make something for Mother's Day? This is quite an interesting one. Of course, not all educators make something for Mother's Day, but I thought this is a really interesting question. We could chat about why you would look at doing something for Mother's Day. And I actually have children that have chosen about making things for Grandma or for Mother's Day as well. So I think that's an interesting thing to offer the children, especially if they might have split care or they might have mum not in the picture for whatever reason. It's always about the conversation with the children about giving them the choice of whether they do want to make something for mum, whether they might like to make something for grandma instead, and actually recognizing where the child is coming from, what sort of family situation they're coming from, and being very sensitive to that as well. I think sometimes educators can go in very gung-ho with, oh, it's Mother's Day, let's make something for Mother's Day. And it might actually not be 100% appropriate for that child. So having a think about the child's situation, what family situation they're coming from, but how else can they be included? How else can we be inclusive with all of the children in our care if we are going to do something for Mother's Day? And I very much like the whole do unto others as you would yourself. Is that how it goes? How does that go?
Yeah.
I love the whole mother's, getting something handmade by them that I know that they've specifically made. I don't want something that the educator's made. I want to know that my child has had something to do with that. And I think that's another thought that I wanted to put here. Did you do Mother's Day?
Craft
Experience. I want to say experience, not craft.
I've always quite often I love to recognize the the input, the significance that mothers have in the children's lives. And, you know, the beauty of doing family daycare is you know exactly who, I'm a little intruder, exactly what the situation is at home. You generally know whether mum is around, or if it's auntie or grandma or whatever it is. That's what I love about family daycare. You know every single child, whereas in a centre you don't, and that is a real problem. So I just find that doing Mother's Day experiences really allow children to reflect, children to think about their mum. And I mean, my two boys have brought something home this week from kindy and from school, and I'm so excited. My eldest is so excited. He's been bringing stuff home all week. He's bringing it under his bed so I can't see it. You know, I think it's an option. Obviously, every situation is different, but it certainly should be about the child and about them creating something rather than just it being something pretty and beautiful for Mother's Day. It's just about the child. Yeah. So, but again, not everyone does it. Not every educator does it. But for me, I love it.
I did. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Christina said all her children chose what they wanted to make based on their age and skills, and all I do is facilitate it all by providing resources and choices. I also video the entire process, and the parents receive that in their personal Dropbox link to view any time. So I love that. That's a great idea. So that's a really nice
element, doing the videos.
Yeah, parents can actually see them doing. I love that. That one's a great idea.
Cool.
Our third question. Our third question for tonight is financial setup advice.
Yes, well,
yes. We've had a few of these.
Yeah, someone had asked, you know, they're about to start up, but obviously we're coming into that last month of the financial year, and should they be buying stuff now when it won't be included as a tax deduction for next year, for this financial year, obviously, because she wouldn't have earned much this financial year. And my advice is to speak to an accountant that focuses on family daycare, because I think when you start asking questions in a group setting on Facebook or wherever, even your scheme may not know the real answer. When it comes to financial stuff, when it comes to tax, you want to seek professional advice. Asking in a forum of other well-meaning educators. So family daycare tax, FDC tax, Ben Mueller is based on the Gold Coast, but he is always happy to answer questions. And he does our tax, and it's, you know, it's so important to seek professional advice when it comes to taxes and money, because you don't want to, especially if you're starting out, you don't want to get the wrong advice, and you could be claiming, or you are claiming stuff that you shouldn't be. Then it's just, just find someone who actually has the answer, because sometimes we were talking about this just before we started the video. Sometimes we see the wrong information being put out there. I was thinking, oh no, please don't listen to that. That's not correct.
But as well, something that is correct for one educator, it might not be correct for the next educator.
Yeah.
So they're giving advice in good faith, but it actually might not be right. So I think that especially tax, but financial advice really does need to come from the professionals. It really, really need to to have individual advice.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 4. Wait on.
Yes.
Did it come up? Yep. Okay,
Yep.
this one's an interesting one. Behavior management when it's your own child being hurt. Oh, did I? This one's a hard one. Well, it's not really. I look at this question and I go, okay, well, as an educator, it really shouldn't be any different from the other children in your care. A child being hurt in any situation should have the same outcomes, the same plan. The idea, obviously is not for children to be hurt in our care. That's the number one priority. But in the same token, our own children need to feel safe, and they need to feel that, this is their space, this is their place. But then so do the children coming into care. So I don't know. Where does your head go with this one?
Well, this question came up from a scenario where an educator's child was being, hurt regularly, like many times a day, picked on by a particular child in care, and she was really just at her wit's end because her children didn't feel safe at home. And my advice is that you really need to get into the source of that problem. Why is that child being aggressive? Are they feeling anxious? Is something going on at home? Talk to the parents and get some feedback. But regardless of why, and regardless of anything else, if my child doesn't feel safe at home, then that's just, there's no it's like black and white. I mean, there's no gray area. It's just, it's not going to be a long-term situation. So if I can't solve this problem, if I can't get to the bottom of it, if things aren't improving within a week, then I would terminate care, because for me, doing family daycare is for my children. It's for my family. Yes. And obviously it's just not going to work if they're not happy being there. If they're not happy being at home, then it's just not worth it. And I mean, for me, that's why I've got extended maternity leave, because my daughter was not happy when I reopened. I opened too early and she did not like it. And it wasn't, no one was being aggressive or anything like that, but she wasn't happy, so it closed. And, if your child's not feeling safe, then, care needs to be discussed.
You need to take action.
But, yeah.
You do, absolutely.
Yeah, you need to take action really quickly. And obviously you would have a plan in place to try and stop that behavior happening. You'd be talking to parents. But if you didn't see any results or any improvement within a week, then I would be negotiating the fee. But obviously, in regards to behavior, any child being hurt, you want to sort that out pretty quickly.
Absolutely.
And I always feel like parents do need to be involved more. Like we shouldn't be scared to talk to parents. We shouldn't be scared to kind of liaise with them about, look, this is what's happening here. And parents may not see this at home, and that's okay, because this could be an anxiety situation, or, something that the child does not feel safe here. And it may not be our fault. They could just be, they're away from mum and dad. Absolutely. Things could be tricky at home, whatever's going on. But that you need to try and work with the child on that one for sure.
Yeah. Do you think this also comes back to interviewing parents really well, and actually having a child come into your space and really interviewing and suss whether that child's going to be a good fit for that day. Some day,
Yeah.
you know, I've had children come in and interviewed for a Tuesday, and I've sort of, you know, done morning tea, spoken to the parent and go, oh, okay, this child would really fit on a Thursday, but they won't fit on a Tuesday. So sometimes different groups of children are better grouped in certain situations, and that does come down to, you know, interviewing well and interacting well with the parent and the child before you actually accept them into care.
Yeah. We'll see. And I always have, I always do interviews a little bit different to you. I always do it outside of care hours, but I always make sure that my own children are around because I want to see how all of them connect. But
you would also make sure that they bring their child with them. I know I've had this question before.
I know.
And I say, why? Yeah, you need to see the child because you're going to be with them, you know, in care. You would much rather say no at interview stage than wait till it gets to a point where you're thinking, oh my goodness. Yeah. And as well, it's in the
what
best
am I doing? This just isn't working. And your responsibility, yes, is to that child, but also,
But it's also in the best interest of a child, that child that's coming into your care. You don't want to put them in a situation where they won't fit or they won't feel welcome. And yes, you can try, but if your gut really tells you that they're not going to fit in that day, then it's really important and a duty of care almost, of course, to speak up before you take them into care. If you already realise that, then that's a really important place to say as well.
Definitely, Now, do we have any other questions come up tonight?
I can't see. Oh, wait on. Oh, we do have... Christina's been chatting away, and I'm sorry, Christina, but it didn't show until I moved it. So Christina's talking about it being a big difference if you rent or own your own property. And I think she must be talking about financial one. Yeah. And then she's talking about dynamics are really important. So I think that must be with this number 4, with behaviour management. I absolutely agree. Yeah. The dynamics of the group, how each of the children feel like they belong is really, really important and a big part of behaviour. And Natalie says... I have areas in my home where my children can go and the daycare children cannot follow. So do I. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. My children need their own space, or our own children need their own space. They need a place where they can play with their own toys. They need a place where they can have quiet time if they want quiet time. And they absolutely need an area where they can pop away from the daycare children.
Yeah, definitely.
Now we have another question from Christina, and it is, what are your thoughts on the newly released budget? I haven't read much of it, to tell you the truth.
No, neither have I.
But I will in the next week or so.
Was there anything specific to childcare? I haven't actually read any of it yet.
No, I haven't read enough to comment on it.
Christina, do you know? I don't know. She made a comment.
No. Christina, was there something specific that you have?
She
said yes. Okay. What specifically do you think? I know, they've pushed some changes out for another 12 months. How do educators Oh, okay. So we'll just leave that for a minute because Christina's saying next week's topic, perhaps. She might send something more through to us, and so that'd be super.
Okay, that would be great.
We also have a question from Sue, and she says, how do educators cope with pickup in a positive way? Parents staying too long whilst children start to show bad behaviour due to lack of attention, etc. Absolutely. Okay, so I actually spoke to an educator a few weeks ago about she was struggling with pickup and with children's behaviour at pickup, because sometimes they get overly excited. Sometimes
and they're tired as well.
Yes, at the end of the day, they can be cranky, they can be tired, they can have all these emotions come up that they don't quite know what to do with. So I think if we can turn our head into how can I help this child cope at the end of the day, rather than, oh my goodness, I'm going to have behavioural issues at the end of the day. So sometimes it's just the way we actually think about the end of the day can have a big effect.
Definitely.
On. But having children get ready for parents and sort of prepare them, I think children cope much better when we prepare them rather than just everything happening all at once. Sometimes, so it's the conversations, it's the actual speaking to the children about, oh, it's almost time for this, or it's almost time for a parent to come. Let's help a certain child gather up all their things. I think it's how we can step the child through that end of the day rather than just expecting them to cope.
And I think being organised, have everything ready at the front, rather than letting the parents keep walking all the way through. A quick turnaround is a lot better. Especially if you've still got other children there, and especially if they're the last one, because you don't want them coming in and having a cup of tea when you are trying to cook dinner. So I always have everything ready at the front door. I have the sign-in sheets ready to go at the front. That's where my sign-in area is. And then we're just doing quiet play inside. So for the last probably 15 minutes or so, we're just doing quiet play. We're doing puzzles, blocks, trains, that kind of thing inside. Everything else is packed up, and all my children finish at the same time. So I mean that makes it easier. And we're just kind of ready to go. Parents just have to sign in, grab their things, are right there, and then they go. I don't encourage parents to come all the way in. I just don't.
It's perfect. Sue says some parents expect to stay to see their child playing at 5 p.m. I think if a parent comes in and expects to see their child playing, it's quite acceptable to say, we've packed up for the day. We've got ready. All your things are just here, and expect them to move on. I think if you if you actually say that to parents, that, haven't the children done a wonderful job packing up? We're all ready to go. That sometimes is enough of a hit.
Yeah, and I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, hey?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, thinking it has to be go right till the last second, and it doesn't. Even if you're in an office job, you start packing up a few minutes before you're about to head off. You don't just automatically just stand up and walk out the door.
And it's good for the children as well to know that routine is there, that it's time for pack up, that mum will be coming or dad will be coming soon. It's good for them to learn to collect all their things and make sure they're all there. So that's a really important part of their routine as well. And that's how you can put it to parents as well. You know, we're working through our routine. We've got to the end of the day. How lovely is it that everything's all ready to go? And actually that conversation. Christina says, I have one who arrives right on closing time and wants to chat away about things unrelated to care. The child also has a meltdown when parents arrive. My strategy is that I walk the child out the door when I see the car and hand over outside, which absolutely is a great way to avoid fusses, and especially if you look at that as the child isn't coping and this is how I'm helping the child to cope. Once all signed off, I wish them a great evening and safe travel home, and I go back inside. Professional and positive for everyone. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and Sue says, thank you, I'm feeling better.
Excellent. Excellent. Sometimes
great.
you just need other people to say, this is okay. It's okay to do this.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better. So I'm glad that's worked. Yeah.
Super. So that's us tonight. We've
cool.
They were great questions.
Excellent.
If you have any more questions, pop them down below because we will come back to them over the next few days. So that Christina says a lot of these things are very common. Absolutely, they are.
Yeah.
But being in family daycare, we can feel like we're quite isolated, and
and that we're the only ones struggling with it.
Yeah, and then realize once you have the discussion with other educators, then absolutely we all have these things at certain stages. You might not have them now, but then in 12 months' time you might have them. So that's why it really helps to chat about them. Super.
Excellent.
Okay. Christine said, thank you, ladies. It's always a pleasure to listen to you both and hear you both have a giggle. Thank you, Christine. I'm glad you joined us.
This is fun. It's always fun.
It is fun. It is. Yeah, it's a nice way to do it.
Excellent. So we'll be back on my page next week. So take
Nikki's
turns.
Page. Start your own family daycare page. Yeah.
Super. Let us know if you have any other questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, we love questions and really relevant questions.
Yeah, this has turned into loving it.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Super.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you, Nikki. Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.